Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for Power Rangers issue 7. Just like with Mighty Morphin, sorry again about the double posting these back to back. Things just got a little bit delayed with the schedule and everything, so the 6 reviews wound up getting pushed right next to these. So it's just funny if you're watching these in succession, like in the 6th issues I'm speculating on stuff that I'm going to immediately be answering in the 7th one, and it seems like there was no gap in me wondering. But anyway, we have this issue, just coined a new term. This issue starts off with kind of one of those classic scenes of like a space crew bonding over a basketball game, and one of them's Renegade, which happens to be Draken, and there's just kind of some fun interplay between them, and Draken noting that Zack uses, like, you know, underhanded tactics when he uses the electrical collar or the fence or whatever it was. I can't remember. Was Draken collared? I don't know. I don't remember what it was, but he uses that against him in the game. And while they're playing that, Trini is smashing up some Morphin Masters pottery, and we know that because Jason's like, I don't think the Morphin Masters would appreciate you smashing up their pottery. I'm like, oh my god, did someone say Morphin Masters? Time for Dawson to make a new theory video. How will this Morphin Master pottery affect Dino Charge's continuity? Also kind of an interesting scene between the two of them where he's kind of talking about them in their early Ranger days. I think he was kind of alluding to a little bit when they were in a relationship back in the Go-Go Power Rangers arc, unless I'm off base there, but there was something hinting there, whether it was that or something else. But basically they're at this sort of Morphin Masters base and they're trying to figure out the Imperial's next move, and they find out that their next move is for this planet of people that basically suck. Like, their next target is this race of conquerors that are basically evil, and G's like, well, it seems the Imperials are going after these guys, but they're just the worst. So maybe we shouldn't save them. Like, Rangers, we have to. And then he's like, do we know? So there's a little bit of a debate there on whether or not to warn them or help them, or to just let them be wiped out or attacked by the Imperials or whatever and take advantage of that. Obviously, they ultimately end up saving him, but I thought it was an interesting debate, and I think it just gets more interesting when they end up at the planet, and of course they don't have such a warm welcome. And then there's also a discussion about, like, you know, we need more help. We have this Blue Ranger power from Kia. We should use it. What a great idea. And of course Draken's like, well, blue's not my color. So they're setting that up a little bit. It's funny because I wondered about that early on. I'm like, are they going to make a new Blue Ranger? Will it be Draken? And then there's just been so much going on in the comics that I kind of forgot about that a little bit. I don't know if I want to see Draken become blue. I think it would be interesting just for the fact that Tommy has not used that color yet. I saw someone mention that maybe Tommy could become a Ranger based off of their little tiger alien, so that might be kind of cool. Like, if even though Draken is already a dark White Ranger, like the original Draken suit could kind of represent, you know, the dark path of the Green Ranger, and then this one could represent his path now in like Tommy's evolutionary steps as far as the White Ranger. Or maybe they could combine like a pseudo alien White Ranger suit with Omega Blue. I don't know. I guess my point is that I kind of want to see those be two separate things. I think there's potential for something cool there, hybrid-wise, but I kind of want to see a new character be the Blue Ranger, and then maybe Draken get something different down the line. But both of those things are brought up. They show up to the planet, they sort of get into trouble because they can't contain themselves over their awfulness, and they're brought to the king, and they try to warn him, and the king's having none of it. So they get taken away, but then they're rescued by the queen, who puts on a big show like in front of the king, like, oh, peasants or whatever, like evil queens say. But she actually does want the Rangers' help dealing with the Imperials, and that's where we leave off. This was basically like a setup stepping stone issue, but I still thought it was a pretty solid issue. I thought it had some good character stuff in it. I liked that we brought up the potential of a Blue Ranger, kind of hinting at maybe, you know, someone taking that up, or Draken taking it up, or Draken taking up something else. I thought there was an interesting debate about this race of people that's being attacked by the Imperials next, and whether or not to save them, and then they present an interesting challenge on the planet themselves. A little bit of a cliche political dynamic once we get down there of like one of the people wanting their help and the other not, but I still think there's some interesting stuff going on there. And it was, like I said, basically a setup issue, but I thought it was an enjoyable one that did add to some character stuff and hinted at some more stuff. Same thing with like the Jason and Trini stuff. I'm kind of teeing that up for later. So I thought it was a solid issue. Not as good or eventful as the last few weeks, but I would probably give it a solid 4. Like, I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of this stuff they're potentially setting up come to fruition. And it seems like we're focusing a little bit back more on the Imperials now. Like, even though that's been the main threat, I guess you could say, it feels like they've been in the background on both, almost at both shows, but in both comics, as we were dealing with setting up Astronema and Ecliptor and the new Green Ranger stuff. And now in both comics, it seems we're steering our attention back to the Imperials, and so I'm looking forward to us hopefully putting more focus on that and kind of making that more interesting again, because I feel like the comics have been really busy. Not necessarily in a bad way where I feel lost, but there's just been a lot going on that I will forget about things that were previously important. But what did you guys think of this issue? Are you looking forward to seeing more of the Empyreals now that we're getting more in that direction? Who do you want to see become, guys, I'm the new Blue Ranger? Do you want it to be Draken or somebody else? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can catch my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.